Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm making this video because a lot of people keep asking me if I'm gonna buy the DJI Avata 2, and the answer is yes! Now this is gonna be an interesting video because a lot of you are probably going, why the heck would Captain Drone buy the DJI Avata 2? It's for beginners. Yes, it's for beginners. That's because it's a DJI product. So if you buy a camera drone from DJI or an FPV drone from DJI, you can fly it the same day with no skills or knowledge because they have beginner modes. All of DJI products that are drones pretty much fly themselves with no requirements for the pilot to have any skills. The only skills a pilot needs in the DJI world is to know a little bit about cameras and photography, because if you don't know anything about cameras and photography and you fly a drone around, well, your video is going to look pretty crappy compared to everybody else who knows something. So let me back up and tell you why I, someone who flies drones for a living since the year 2013, would actually consider buying the Avata 2. Oh, and so I don't confuse anybody, this is the Avata 1, it's not the Avata 2. The Avata 2 comes out on April 11th and you can buy one then. So the first reason I'm buying the DJI Avata 2 is more so for the goggles. Let me explain. So these are goggles too, DJI goggles too. They made a cheaper pair, a lesser pair than this, called the Goggles Integra, that do less than this, but these are the high-end version. And they're pretty good, except they never fit well on my face. No matter what I would do, I was always getting light in the side. So I'm hoping they address that in the new version of the goggles, which are called, of course, DJI FPV Goggles 3. But more importantly, the cool thing about the DJI Goggles 3 is there's two cameras right here on either side. So when I'm talking to people, I don't know how many times I fly drones and people still talk to me when I have my goggles on, I can't see them. And I can't fly a drone at the same time, FPV drone that is, and doing flips and rolls and all that good stuff. So the new goggles have picture-in-picture with two cameras here, so I can take a picture of the people talking to me, have it in the corner, as well as flying. So that's reason number one. Now you're probably saying, Steve, why don't you just buy the goggles? Forget about the rest. Well, if I look at my price list, the new goggles are selling for $500 US. You might see it at $499 US, but that's essentially $500 US. So I could pay $500 US and just get the goggles. And nope. I'm also get the Avata 2 and pretty much everything to fly this like a real FPV drone. Now, this is version 1 of the Avata, and it's not a bad drone for beginners, but it's a terrible drone for pros. If you're a pro and you fly this in manual mode at high speeds, flying around like you're on a roller coaster chasing things, it falls out of the sky every single time. DJI can't fix that. Second thing about this, it weighs a ton. It is super heavy. And the last thing, it's super noisy. So is that all fixed with the Avata 2? No, I don't think so, because the Avata 2 is the size of a DJI Mavic 3. It's huge. It's bigger than this thing, so it's going to be noisier, heavier. I don't know what DJI was thinking. Why didn't they make it under 250 gram DJI Avata 2? That's what we all want, but nope. Another heavy drone coming our way. And of course, since it's a DJI drone designed for beginners, there's obstacle avoidance on it, and optical flow, and a really good GPS in it, and a massive size battery that you'd only find like on a DJI Mavic 3. It's super heavy. Nothing you'd ever see in the real FPV hobby. But beginners are going to love it, and I want to try it out. I'm curious. You know, I do fly the Avata 1 every now and then, but not as much as I'd like to, because it's just unpredictable, and I don't want to fly it over people because it falls out of the sky. But if you're a beginner, you're only going to fly in normal mode or sport mode, and both of those modes, the drones don't fall out of the sky. So if you're used to flying DJI mini drones or DJI Mavic drones, those are all beginner drones, and this is no different, except you get the experience of having the FPV goggles on, and that kind of brings you into the FPV hobby, and that's a good thing, because the FPV hobby is growing and growing, and the more people that come into it, the better it is for the hobby. Now you're saying, Steve, why don't you just buy the Avata 2? Well, let me look at my price list. The Avata 2 by itself is $490 US just for this, for a bigger quad that I don't know if it's going to work with older gear like an old Remote 2. I have no idea, because there's a new transmission system in the new version. Oh, and the old batteries, of course, don't fit in the new version, so I got to buy the batteries. So I might as well just get the whole drone. And now you're wondering, will the old motion controller work with the new drone? Well, no, because it has an old transmission system in it, so I have to buy the the Motion Controller 3. I can't remember what the price is for the Motion Controller 3, probably 200 bucks, I'm not really sure. So if you get the new DJI Avata 2, you're going to get the new Motion Controller 3. Although I never use this. This is designed for beginners. It does not exist in the real FPV hobby. So if you get it and you fly with this with one hand tied behind your back, you will be the only human on the planet doing that, because nobody uses this thing unless you're a beginner and you give it to your girlfriend or wife to fly your drone. And now you're saying, it doesn't come with the remote? Nope. DJI Avata 1 Fly More Kit didn't come with the remote either. And to make matters worse, DJI now has a new remote. This is FPV Remote 2. Now they have FPV Remote 3 for the new DJI Avata 2. And it's not included in the Fly More Kit, so you have to buy it separate, and it's $200 US separately. So what does all of this cost altogether? Well, altogether, this is $1,200 US. Certainly you can buy the Fly More DJI Avata 2 kit, which is this, plus the new goggles, plus this, and one battery, and that's $1,000 US. But when you add in this, that's another $200 US, so you're at $1,200 US. And DJI does not send me anything for free, so I have to buy it all just like the rest of you, which is why you get an honest review when I review a DJI product. But I will say the following about DJI products, and that is you pretty much get value for money. However, you're stuck in their ecosystem. It's like buying an iPhone. Anything from Apple, you're stuck in their ecosystem after you buy it. But if you buy the Avata 1 and you get the goggles and you buy yourself a remote for the Avata 1, you can get into the real FPV hobby after you master the Avata 1. So if you buy the Avata 2, the new one coming out on April 11th, and you buy yourself the remote 3 and the goggles 3, well then you can get into the true FPV hobby as well after you master the Avata 2 on manual mode. And that's because in the true FPV hobby, there is no such thing as beginner mode. There's no such thing where the drone flies itself and all you do is operate the camera. No, you have to operate the camera and the drone at the same time and keep it in the air. It's very difficult and it requires a lot of skill. However, if you start off with something like this, you can easily transfer over because these goggles work with all the new DJI products that are in all the new drones coming on the market in the professional hobby. Oh, and when I say these goggles, I mean the old goggles 2 as well as the new goggles 3 coming out. So did that make any sense other than I'm about to be $1,200 US more poor than everybody else? Well, I guess that's probably what's going to happen. So if you don't know where to buy the new Avata 2 and the remote and all that other good stuff, then I'll put links below, and I'll put the links to Amazon as well as the DJI store. If you click on them, you will find this new product. Obviously, it only comes to life on April 11th. I also want to say that every reviewer out on YouTube who already has this drone can't talk about it, but you'll see their videos on April 11th. They will review it and show you. The funny thing is a lot of people on YouTube who fly DJI products and who are DJI fanboy reviewers, they can only fly Mavic drones and they can't fly FPV drones. So it should be funny on some of those reviews because they got to fly these in normal mode and sport mode. They really can't go in the manual without crashing. But they can do something pretty cool because the new DJI Avata 2 has a little button that you press here on the motion controller as well as the remote. And as you're flying in normal mode or sport mode, you can get this thing to go flip upside down and flip like this just with a one button press. DJI put that feature into the Avata 2 because they know so many people that buy their FPV products never really fly in manual mode. They never learn how to fly in manual mode. So with all that said, I say thanks for watching this video and enjoy your Avata 2 if you're buying one. Matter of fact, tell me below if you're going to buy the Avata 2. I think most people are going to go, that's too friggin' expensive. I'm not buying that. And yeah, you're probably right. But if you're buying it so that you can stay in the FPV hobby and then transfer over to the pro FPV hobby, it's a good investment, I think. All right, guys, we'll catch you in another video soon. So for now, I say thanks for watching. Bye.